Okay, good morning everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the IJB Audit and Performance Committee of the 25th of November 2024. I want to start by apologising for the delay. There was some Monday morning technical glitches, so thank you everyone for your patience. But hopefully everyone can now be seen and be heard, and we'll do our best to get through this as smoothly as we can from now on. So that's, as far as I'm aware, there are no apologies or substitutions today, unless anybody knows otherwise. Okay, and have we any declarations of interest on today's agenda? So I can't see everybody on the screen on one single screen. So if anybody does have something, if you have the opportunity to raise your hand electronically, that might be helpful. Otherwise, just speak up. I think that might be the easiest way. Okay, thank you very much. Right, so we'll now move on to the minutes. We have the minutes of the meeting of the Audit and Performance Committee of the Integration Joint Board on the 23rd September 2024. I'm going to assume that everyone has read those minutes. Are there any matters arising? Okay, I've just been told there's no raised hand function, so in that case, if you can maybe put in the chat if you want to ask a question. I can see the chat function, and I'll try and keep on top of that. Thank you very much. Okay, so back to the minutes of the meeting of the 23rd of September. If there are no matters arising, can we agree the minute?
Yeah.
Agreed. Yep. Lovely, thank you very much. And then we have the minute of the special meeting of the Audit and Performance Committee of Perth and Kinross Integration Joint Board of the 28th of October 2024. Are there any matters or issues arising from that paper? Okay, if there's no matters arising, can we agree the minutes?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Lovely, thank you very much indeed. Now we go to the action points update. There's one item that's complete, which is item 57. Item 54 is the timescale for that has been revised accordingly. Unless the Chief Officer has a comment to make on that, can everybody just note that particular update? Just happy to note it.
Can I make a
Jackie?
comment? Yeah,
you can, of course, yes.
We've made good progress on this, but we've revised the timescale because, as you know, we've have two new heads of integrated health and care, and we wanted to give time for those new appointed roles to review the strategic risks from their perspective. Thanks.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Jackie. Any other comments or points on the action points? No. Okay, can we note those? Thank you very much. We will now come to the key strategic performance indicator report, and can I call on Chris Jolly to provide this the introduction to this report? Thank you. Chris.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me?
I can.
Excellent. Thank you. Yes, so thank you, Chair. This report presents to the committee as a routine performance report update and gives the committee an overview of performance against the key strategic performance indicators for which data is currently available. Appendix 1 provides a breakdown of performance across the indicators and provides supplementary charts which provide more information and greater context. With 3 of the 5 strategic indicators green, performance remains good overall. The main areas for improvement relate to readmissions and delayed discharges, which have increased in the reporting period when compared to the previous year. Readmissions has been a topic of discussion within the committee previously. The breakdown provided in Appendix 1 shows that despite the overall strategic indicator having increased by 5.9% when compared to last year, readmissions within 28 days are largely stable when considering the 65+ population, and Perth and Kinross aligns almost directly with Tayside overall, so not out of step with Tayside. There is an increasing trend in readmissions within 7 days, however, and this is similarly seen in Perth and Kinross and across Tayside overall. We have engaged with clinical colleagues on this, and we have noted that within 9 wells, there is a robust systemic approach taken to reviewing patients which are readmitted within 7 days. In P&K, there is also a practice of review, but there is an opportunity to reconsider this, taking the learning from colleagues in Dundee. I'll report back to the committee when we next meet to update on the status of this improved practice. I think it's notable that we're looking to make that improvement, but that performance between Tayside overall and Perth and Kinross isn't misaligned, but nonetheless an opportunity to improve. Feedback from people that use health and social care services remains very good, with ratings of at least 4.6 out of 5. Service usage of the care opinion tool is also increasing, and so more feedback is being received at this time when compared to last year at the same time. So we're about 60% at the halfway point. Appendix 2 of this report contains a KPI report covering the primary care strategic delivery plan. This is the first time that this has been reported to the committee since the SDP was approved, and so starts the process of measuring the extent to which the outcomes we seek for people are being delivered. Across the 9 stated outcomes, there are a range of indicators which show primary care is performing well. As we look to future reporting, it will become more possible to provide an indication of the extent to which things are improving from this baseline position. Equally, it's acknowledged that there are indicators for which improvements could be made to the data which is used. For example, some of the HACE, that's the Health and Care Experience indicators, relate to all of HSCP services rather than specifically primary care. The committee will remember that the HACE survey is also only undertaken every 2 years, and respondents for which are selected at random from GP lists. So this can make it challenging to interrogate the data further and follow up. So alternative routes to gaining data for these indicators will be sought. In terms of improvement, further improvement, not detailed in this report, but I wanted to bring to the attention of the committee that we have commenced work on a new performance framework for health and social care services. This will look to connect performance reporting with health and social care delivery at strategic, tactical and operational levels. And before I pause to take any questions, I would like just to thank Claire McCarthy, team leader for performance management and reporting, for her support in creating these reports, and equally extend my thanks to primary care colleagues for their support in collaborating on the KPI report. Happy to take questions.
Thank you, Phil. That's a very comprehensive introduction. Are there any questions for Phil on the report?
Yes.
Beth, you're the first to say.
Thanks. Thank you very much. It's all coming together quite nicely in the reporting. Well done. One of the things I was wanting to ask, which is not directly related to what's there, but it's kind of, I'm just looking at the figures. Can we tease out the impact the frailty unit is going to be having? Is there a way that we can, if we look at the discharges with delay and readmissions, etc., is there any way we could sort of put a marker in the sand to start looking at how the frailty unit's going to impact on that?
So yeah, we can. There is an opportunity for us to understand more about individual, ward areas or clinical units in respect to delayed discharges connected with those. I'm sure that will be something that colleagues will want to look at as we consider the older people's strategic delivery plan as we go forward. Noting that Jackie's got her hand up as well.
Mm-hmm. I was going to bring Jackie in now, and Zoe, I think, wants to come in.
I thought that. So
Jackie first, I think.
Zoe's probably got a lot more detail than I have at the moment, but I think
Well,
the committee should be aware that we do monitor the average length of stay and delayed discharges across all individual wards, including the frailty unit, and we know that the frailty unit is on average maintaining an average length of stay around 4.7 days. So it is having a very positive impact on those people who come through that unit. And we can probably provide some more detail on a kind of spotlight on that whole area at a future report, but Zoe will have more detail than I do.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jackie. Zoe, do you want to add to that?
No, I probably not. I mean, it's just to say that we do record that and we have all of that data available to share easily and readily. And Jackie's right, the target is 4.5 days, certainly, and generally speaking, the frailty unit meets that target. So it's been very successful in the work that it does do. Yeah, and there's further feedback on that coming through the review of the older people delivery plan that will come into the next IJB meeting.
That's
Thank
good,
you,
thanks.
Zoe.
It's just be good to see all the different information around about that, how it's impacting on delayed discharges, etc., and readmissions in particular.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Martin, you are next up for the question. Martin?
Sorry, my speaker had went down. Partly the question was answered there for me. Just I was on the delayed discharges. I mean, okay. It is a wee bit more significant Perth compared to Tayside. Is that? I mean, I know we keep going about demographics, but is that the main reason?
Chris, do you want to come back on that?
There are definitely demographic challenges in Perth and Kinross that can make it increasingly difficult as those challenges remain and increase. So I think we're fairly sure that the demographics will have a significant impact. Also, the rurality of Perth and Kinross can make it challenging to pivot to significant changes in people's needs from a social care perspective, much more so the case than it would be in a more urbanised area. So those things, rurality and the age demographic, absolutely do play out in the robustness of Perth and Kinross's ability to get the right support in place. But there are a lot of improvements happening in that respect, and I look forward to reporting those to the committee as we go forward.
Yeah, it's quite good, the reporting that's going on. It's just that I wonder then if we're identifying rurality and demographics, then does that have to be reflected more in your strategic plan? And do we have to actually prioritise more in a strategic plan to accommodate that?
Happy to revert to Jackie. I think she's got her hand up.
Yeah, I see Jackie with her hand up. So, Jackie, do you want to come in now, please?
Yeah, thanks. I was going to answer your first question, Martin, which what you're seeing in the reports here are Perth and Kinross and Tayside performance. But you'll know that there is a national mission to reduce delayed discharges, and certainly ahead of winter, which has been a real challenge nationally. And all three Tayside Health and Social Care Partnership areas are recognised for their comparative good performance. Mm-hmm. So it's true that Perth and Kinross sits behind Dundee and Angus and does so consistently, but when we compare to the other areas in those weekly national meetings, which experience the demographics and the rurality that we experience, we are performing very well in comparison. Mm-hmm. So we need to keep that in mind, but I think you're absolutely right in terms of the strategic direction that we need to take is that real challenge to providing care at home in particular, and social care and to support and independent living in our very remote rural areas. We've got some interesting developments happening in Rannoch and Burnham and Dunkeld coming forward for consideration as part of our strategic direction, and I'm hopeful that we can bring that to one of the IJB's development days in December, so that you can have an opportunity to hear that directly from the people who've been involved in that work. So it's really about an opportunity to develop much more of a social enterprise approach to delivering social care in those very remote areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. I don't see anybody else with a question to be asked. So in that case, we'll move on to the recommendations for this report. So the Audit and Performance Committee is asked to 1. Note the strategic performance in relation to the core suite of integration indicators, and 2. Note progress in the delivery of the outcomes defined within the primary care SDP. Can we duly note this paper, please?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you very much, everyone. Then we'll move on to item 5.1, which is the Partnership Improvement Plan update. And can I call upon Phil Gerard to introduce this paper, please?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah. Good. Okay, this is the routine report to the committee on the Partnership Improvement Plan, providing the committee with an update on the progress of our governance improvement actions. So since we last presented to this committee in September, we've reviewed one report for potential new governance improvement actions that could be added to the plan. This report was the external audit undertaken by Audit Scotland, and it was presented to this committee at the end of October, and that was as part of the annual accounts process. There was one recommendation on that report, which was to implement a financial recovery plan and for the IJB to work with its partners to deliver financially sustainable services. You're aware that this action is now well underway. Updates on the financial recovery plan are now presented to each IJB meeting, and this is included in the Partnership Improvement Plan today as a new action, IP 81, which means currently we have 15 actions on the PIP. 12 of these are marked as green, and that includes the new action I've just mentioned. 3 are amber, and we now have no red actions. We've completed 4 improvement actions since September when we last presented it. These will be archived following today's meeting, and these are shown as status blue on Appendix 1, and the details of these 4 actions included in section 4.4 of today's report. Today's report will also featured a detailed update on the best value action plan. The action plan is attached to Appendix 2 to the report, and it's got 11 actions in it. Most of these are currently at a green status. There's a couple already marked as complete. The ongoing work for the green actions are progressing well. We don't anticipate any obstacles to hinder the completion of all these green actions. There's one action which is amber, and that concerns undertaking a self-assessment against the blueprint for good governance. We have scheduled this piece of work for completion not this year but in 25-26. It's not due to this action not being of importance, but it's completely due to capacity and to be able to ensure that us as officers can devote necessary time to this very important piece of work. The report concludes today that we have made significant progress on the PIP as well as the best value action plans. The committee are asked to note this progress. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks very much, Phil. I'd just like to add my personal thanks to everybody who's involved in this. I think the progress is excellent, and also the reporting is very clear and easy to follow. So I just want to thank you and everybody else who's been involved in this. I don't see anybody with anything in the chat wanting to ask a question to Phil. If anybody has any questions, can they just speak, please? No questions. I think, Phil, that must be testament to the clarity of the report and your introduction. So thank you very much for that. Oh, Martin's got his hand raised. Martin?
It's not actually a question, just I welcome the plan for the self-assessment, because in the previous authority we used that self-assessment and it was actually very helpful for the participants and to help future plan. So I'll be glad when that comes on board.
Thank you, Martin. So if there are no other questions or comments, has MJ any comments they wish to make? Nope. Well, in that case, we'll move on to the recommendations. We're recommended that the Audit and Performance Committee note the progress made towards achieving the actions outlined in the Partnership Improvement Plan, and note that the actions in the Partnership Improvement Plan have been updated with the appropriate responsible officers. Can we so note? Thank you very much. And now can we move on to item 5.2 on the agenda, please? The strategic risk management update. And can I call upon Donna Mitchell to introduce this report, please?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and good morning, everyone. This report provides an update on the IJB strategic risks and presents the updated risk register for your approval. As part of our annual governance statement, we have agreed to ask the senior management team to review the strategic risk register to ensure that it was relevant and that it aligned to our updated strategic plan. As a result of the work undertaken by the senior management team, there are 6 strategic risks identified, and they're detailed in section 3.4 of your report and in the appendix. You'll note that the presentation is different from before, but the key areas of cause, event and effect being detailed in a bow tie, matched with controls and actions, have been detailed. There has been careful consideration of the risk titles to ensure that they are strategic and relevant, and you will note also that 2 of the risks are still in their development, and they are the mental health services risk and service demand and capacity, and updates will be provided to the next Audit and Performance Committee on those risks. Of the 4 risks that have been completed, 2 are assessed as being within the appetite of the IJB and 2 are out with. The controls and actions being undertaken to reduce the level of risk are noted in Appendix 1. The report also updates the committee on the next steps, and as well as the further work on the 2 incomplete risks, work is ongoing to integrate the IJB strategic risks into the new performance and risk platform, PK Performs. This will assist in the management and reporting of our strategic risks. So I'm happy to take any questions that you may have on today's update.
Thank you very much, Donna. I appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions that they would like to raise to Donna? Martin?
Yeah, Donna, the mental health services risk, is that because we're the lead partner for mental health services across Tayside?
What I'll do is I'll ask Jackie to come in just so she can give absolute clarity on that one. Thanks, Jackie. You're on mute, Jackie.
Thank you. Thanks for your question, Martin. The Mental Health and Learning Disabilities Whole System Change Programme has a series of strategic risks already identified within it. And this exercise that we will take forward will be looking at the implications for us locally within Perth and Kinross, and reporting on that at a strategic level. It was really important, as I said earlier when we were looking at the actions arising from this committee, was that with Jane Menzies coming into post just in October, and her expertise in this area, that we took some time to examine that. So that will cover the implications of the programme, but also our own community health and wellbeing strategy, and how we will implement that locally. So it will cover all of that. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jackie. Beth, you have a question?
Thank you. Yes. I think I quite like the new style. Is this a system that the council use?
Yes, I have.
One of the things I was just going to ask, you've got it looks as if there are two fully worked on, two that I'm just working on, but the two in the middle that don't have any actions, is that because they're not being developed yet, or we don't have actions for those two risks?
Well, those are the two that are deemed to be within, or assessed to be within appetite. So the residual risk score for those two are within appetite. So the ask of us then is to ensure that we've got controls in place and that our controls are robust and that it maintains or perhaps reduces that risk level. But we're not asked to take active action to reduce that score, although that may be something that happens through the controls that we're making anyway.
Yeah.
The first two we need to have actions in place to actively try and reduce that residual risk score.
I'm glad I asked then, because I just assumed it was because we hadn't got to that part yet. But Phil's wanting to come in.
Yeah, just to the first part of what you said there, that you like the new format of this register. Just to say, don't get too used to that, because.
All right. How's it all
this
going to change again?
Well, this isn't from PK Performs as yet. This is us setting up our risk register to ensure we have all the relevant information that we need to populate PK Performs. So that will now happen after this meeting. So it will look different to what you're seeing today.
Thanks,
Yeah. The other thing I would say about the action title, not having any actions, I would still like to see us having actions, even though something's within a risk. There's always improvements we could maybe touch on. I don't know, it just seems to have nothing there. But anyway, it is good in the sense of what I see.
We'll take that suggestion on board, Donna, Beth, and I'll discuss it with the team and see whether or not we want to change how we report. Thank you. I don't see anybody else with a question to ask. Oh, Councillor Illingworth, please.
Right, sorry. The two risks that are being worked on, how optimistic are our officers that these will be ready for the next Audit and Risk Committee, or Audit and Performance Committee, sorry?
So for one of them, I would ask Jackie. Yeah, so for the mental health one, I would ask Jackie, and then for the other, it would be Zoe, if you could give an update on our expectation. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take Jackie first then, please.
Thanks very much. In terms of the mental health risk, absolutely, I don't think we'll have an issue getting that to the next Audit and Performance Committee. And also you will be aware that the IJB will receive in December the final third year report on the community mental health and wellbeing strategy, and we will be developing a new 3-year strategy thereafter. So all that work's taking place. Thanks, Councillor Illingworth.
Thank you, Jackie. And Zoe?
Thank you.
Yeah, equally so. I wouldn't see any particular issue with the service demand and capacity risk coming forward either. I mean, they're largely dependent on several of our transformation programmes, so they will need to kind of interact with that activity, but I don't see any issue with bringing an update to the next committee.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Are you happy with that, David?
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, David. Okay, I don't see anybody else with any questions, so we'll move on to the recommendations. We have a recommendation to note 2 parts and an approval. So we're asked to note the senior management team's work in reviewing and identifying risks that could impact the achievement of the IJB strategic plan, and note that the strategic risk register is a work in progress with 2 further key risks currently under development. Can we note both of those, please?
Agreed.
Thank you. And we're also asked to approve the updated strategic risk register as set out in Appendix 1. Can we approve the updated strategic risk register?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your attention. We now move on to item 5.3, which is the internal audit progress report, and I'll call on Jackie Clark to provide an update to that, please. Jackie in the meeting.
Thank you, Councillor. Good morning.
Oh, you are here.
I am, yes, thank you. This report presents the progress report of internal audit with regard to the approved internal audit plans for the IJB. Progress has been made by both Perth and Kinross Council and also NHS internal auditors against these plans. As you can see from the appendix, that there are 3 reports following testing which are in progress, and 1 report for workforce planning is included on the agenda for today's meeting. In addition, a further assignment, the risk maturity, has commenced with the final audit on the partnership arrangements being led by Dundee City Council and is due to commence in early 2025. Section 3 of this report highlights to this committee, which is the formal audit committee for the Integration Joint Board, that new standards are coming forward for internal audit called they are the Global Internal Auditing Standards, and they've been issued by the Institute of Internal Auditors. And there's an application note which is coming forward, being coordinated by CIPFA, specifically for the public sector, to provide that interpretation of the global standards, specifically for the public sector in the UK. These standards will incorporate the application note and also a code of practice for the governance of internal audit, which will be of relevance to this committee going forward. As they are published, I will bring them forward to this committee and will be sharing them with you. But at this point in time, I am in the process of reviewing compliance for Perth and Kinross Council, and also my colleagues are doing the same for the internal audit function within NHS Tayside. Once I have any more information, I will bring that to this committee. I would be hopeful that that will be for the next committee, because the new standards come into effect as of the 1st of April. But we're certainly looking at ensuring that we are generally conforming in the majority of the professional standards. I'm happy to take any questions, but I'm asking that the committee note the progress that's been made and note that I will bring forward more information on the GIAS at some point as soon as I'm able. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Has CIPFA given you any indication of when they'll be able to bring forward their guidance or interpretation or even training?
As of yet, there's no definite date. The final consultation, which was on the Code of Practice for the Governance of Internal Audit, I think that closes today. Okay. But I'm hopeful that we will have something soon, and we're certainly working as Chief Internal Auditors for local authorities. Our group is working with CIPFA to try and expedite that so that we have time to assess ourselves against what is the final application note for internal audit.
Okay, thank you very much, Jackie. I appreciate that. I see Councillor Illingworth has a question.
Thank you, Convener. What is your opinion on how the new global standards will affect the IJB and our job as on this committee?
Thank you for the question. The Code of Practice for the Governance of Internal Audit is what will be what will set out those arrangements. And at this point, as I said, that consultation is due to close, I think today, and that will set out an understanding of the relationship between internal audit and those charged with governance. So for the IJB, it will be this committee, to ensure that there's an appropriate level of support and oversight of both internal audit function and also the internal audit service as a whole, and the whole process, including the delivery of plans that are agreed. As and when that code of governance comes through, I think it may be worth having a session with all members of this committee, just to highlight what those detailed arrangements should look like.
And I think if I'm correct, Jackie, I think you told me that it also will cover the role of the committee, and it's
indeed its role in relation to internal audit. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's quite important, that, and hopefully there will be some consistency then across all of the public sector organisations, because of course the IJB overlaps with both the local authority and with the health board. So I think it would be welcomed that we'd have some consistency of interpretation, perhaps, is the best way to.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, there's been the steps along the way in terms of SIPFA's definitions of assessments of control environments with regard to having substantial, reasonable, limited or no assurance for internal audit reports, and that is across the public sector already. So this is, in many ways, I suppose it's a logical next step.
And can I just ask one other question, Jackie, if I may? You know, I know that you're doing your own due diligence internally on the whole GAIS. Is that how you?
It is, yes.
As part of that due diligence, will that include a gap analysis of where we are currently and where we need to get to in order to comply with the new standards?
Absolutely, it will. Yes, once we've got the application note and the public sector application note, there will be you know, a quality assurance and improvement plan which is developed for over the next 12 months or so to ensure full compliance, and NHS colleagues will be doing the same.
Yeah, I think that'll be really helpful as well. So look forward to seeing that, Jackie. Thank you. Martin Black, you have a question for Jackie?
Thanks, Jackie. It's Appendix 1 on page 87 of 110, and you have 4 projects deemed to be coming in February 2025, and the draft has been issued. Who did the draft get issued to? Is my first one, and when is the completed tick and reasonable and assurance given? Is that at the committee meeting, or is that a recommendation before it comes to the committee meeting? I'm just a wee bit. It's a Monday morning. I'm thick on a Monday morning, so.
That's not a problem. Thank you for your question. The reports that have been issued in draft have been issued to the relevant services. So for premises and property, that's been issued to colleagues in both Perth and Kinross Council and NHS Tayside who have been involved with that audit, and is in the process of confirming factual accuracy for that audit. Likewise for the joint equipment loan store, the report's been issued to the service manager along with the team lead who has responsibility for that area, again to confirm factual accuracy prior to, and then we will be working with the services to draft an action plan for the areas that have been identified as potential for improvement. With regard to the workforce planning report, where I've stated on the appendix that reasonable assurance can be given, that is my conclusion following the review of the audit findings and also of the report itself. That reasonable assurance can be placed on the arrangements for governance, risk management and control with regard to workforce. So that is a professional opinion from the Chief Audit Executive for the IJB, and I'm presenting that to you and saying this is my opinion on the controls. Does that answer your question?
Martin, does that answer your question?
It does. Just the risk maturity report that was from 2 years
Sorry,
ago.
Martin, I can't hear you properly.
The risk maturity report was from 2 years ago, but there's not been a draft issued.
Just to clarify that, this is a new assignment from the 24-25 internal audit plan. There was a report issued back in 2022, which was from a previous audit. Now, obviously, time has moved on since then, and as part of reviewing the risk maturity, we've looked back at the report that was provided back 2.5 years ago, but also looked at current good practice, which is available from Audit Scotland, and we're making an assessment of risk maturity now compared with how what the risk maturity was assessed at, back at the previous in the previous report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Martin, Jackie. I don't see anybody else with any questions, so we'll move on to the recommendations on this report. The Audit and Performance Committee is asked to note the progress made in the delivery of the 2022-23, 23-24 and 24-25 internal audit plans. And the Audit and Performance Committee is also asked to note that the Chief Internal Auditor will bring forward the GAIS application note and the Code of Practice for the governance of internal audit once these are available, hopefully not too long. Thank you very much, everyone. Can we note those two aspects, please?
Agreed.
Everybody's agreed? Okay. Then we'll move on to item 5.4. Jackie, I think that's you again.
It is, thank you.
On workforce planning.
Councillor. Thank you. This report presents the work that's been undertaken by my NHS colleagues at FTF for the audit of workforce planning. The scope can be found in section 6, which includes Scottish Government feedback, the adequacy of monitoring and assurance arrangements for the delivery of the workforce planning, and also planning and preparation for the next iteration due for submission to the Scottish Government in 2025. So this is a backwards review, but also looking forwards as well in order to add a bit more value. Paragraph 7 details that reasonable assurance can be placed on the arrangements for workforce planning, which means that there's a generally sound system of governance, of risk management and of internal control. The detailed findings arising from this piece of work are contained in paragraphs 8 to 24, with the action plan detailing the findings, recommendations, significance and the management's response. There are 3 findings arising from this report. One is in relation to improvements for the next workforce plan. One is regarding future monitoring for the workforce plan, and also the scrutinising elements for workforce planning, with a number of actions being agreed with the services to improve those areas. I'm happy to answer any questions. If there's any specific details that I'm not able to answer, then I will get back to the committee in due course.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Are there any questions for Jackie on this? I take it this report, Jackie, is for information.
Yes, this information. This is for noting. Yes.
The only comment I probably have to make is that I think a lot of the actions are to Evelyn Devine, who I think has since retired. So perhaps that could be updated.
I'm assured that she is around and is taking these actions
forward.
She?
Okay.
Jackie Pepper is about to answer, I think.
Okay, then Jackie.
Yeah, thanks. Just to confirm that Evelyn has returned on a return basis, and she's going to take on responsibility for the workforce plan at least for the next year. Yeah, and unfortunately she's not been able to be with us today, convener. Sorry.
Okay, well that's good news. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much for that clarification. Beth, I think you have a question you wish to ask.
Yeah, it's not really, well, it's a question in the sense, slightly disappointed in the report. It was a wee bit, but positive direction. How is that going to be monitored through the IJB? Is it going to be part of the performance data in general, or are we going to have something specific around this action plan or something specific around workforce planning?
So I'm not sure if that's a question for Jackie Clark, so I'll ask Jackie Pepper if she can answer that one.
Yeah, and just to confirm that one of the issues that was raised was about the frequency of reporting to the IJB on our workforce plan, given the concerns about it. So we are undertaking to report 6 monthly on that. Thanks.
And
okay,
will it be coming to this committee, or will it be coming to the full IJB?
I would suggest it would come to the IJB.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you, Beth. Jackie Clark, have you any comment you wish to make on that question?
No, I would completely agree with what Jackie Pepper has said.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. So that report is before us today for information. We don't have any noting to do or decisions to make, as far as I can see.
Sheila,
So,
Phil was waving as if he was wanting to come in.
sorry,
Phil was waving as if he wanted to come in.
was he? Phil, I can't see Phil on the screen.
Yeah, just briefly, just
Yeah,
going back
speak
to
up. It's probably easier to speak up because I can't see everybody.
Okay, it was just a reminder that any improvement actions that we get from audit reports, audit assignments, we would put onto our partnership improvement plan. So we would receive an update on the status of those at the regular report that comes to this meeting, so that we can be assured that things are moving forward.
Lovely, thank you, Phil. That's useful to know. So, since if there's no other comments, MJ, have you got anything else that I can't see? Speak now. No, nothing. Okay, then. Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Jackie. We now move on to item 6.1 on the agenda, which is the Clinical and Care Governance Assurance Report. Jackie Pepper, are you introducing this report?
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much, Chair. I'm happy to introduce it. This is a report that's coming as part of our routine reporting on clinical and care governance to the Audit and Performance Committee. As the report outlined, the escalated or matters of escalation were reported to the Scrutiny and Performance Committee of the Council on the 20th of November. And there was some scrutiny questions in relation to staffing and staffing absence within or vacancies actually within the social work area, which related to one team, which was down 50%. And assurance was given to that committee that all of the posts had now been appointed to, and that where we're in that position, that there is a sharing of workloads across the various teams to ensure that we carry out our statutory duties. So that was confirmed last week, and as you will see, the report is still to be heard by the Clinical Care Governance Committee, or the Care Governance Committee of NHS Teesside next week. So the Scrutiny and Performance Committee of the Council were pleased to agree a level of reasonable assurance on the report that received, and we're still to hear from the Care Governance Committee in terms of the outcome of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for Jackie on this report? David Illingworth, Councillor Illingworth.
Thank you, Convener. The report to the scrutiny mentioned four reports that mentioned reasonable assurance. What steps can be taken to make them substantial assurance?
Jackie?
Thank you. There was a report previously that was provided with substantial assurance, and that was setting out that across the whole of the Health and Social Care Partnership that we had the mechanisms to identify concerns and in relation to care and professional governance and risks associated with that. I think that's a very difficult thing to achieve because of the breadth of services that we're responsible for delivering on. It's something that we would aspire to and continue to aspire to. And I would ask Hamish and Dougal and Aaron Singh, who co-chair the mechanisms that we have within the partnership, which is the Clinical and Care Governance Forum, to perhaps give an annual overview, because I think that would be a helpful thing to have at this committee, and that might give that a better perspective of all of the services that are reporting. So that's maybe something we can think about in the future.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. David, does that answer your questions?
It does, and actually, considering the complexity of the organisation, getting reasonable assurances is not shouldn't cause great concern to this committee or to the scrutiny committee. So, yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you, and I think also that, I mean, the purpose of this report is about the arrangements that are in place. I mean, there are other forums that look in more detail at the assurance levels, but nevertheless, the questions are valid and worth bringing up. And I would look forward, Jackie, to have an annual overview. I think that would be really helpful. Thank you very much. Beth Hamilton, you have a comment you wish to make?
Yeah, it was just really to pick up on David's comment about the levels of assurance, and I think we looked at this at the Clinical Governance Committee, and there was two of the partnerships had felt substantial was warranted, and I think after a long debate about the depth and broadness of it all, we agreed that reasonable would probably be better, and I'm glad that you've acknowledged that it's, I think it would be a gold standard which would be almost impossible to reach and maintain when you look at it all. The only thing I was at, it's dead uncomfortable just looking at a report that just tells me yes, everything's okay, believe me, but I know that they're both in the middle of writing their reports to the respective committees. So will we as a group see those reports, or will we just continue to get an overview that tells us it's okay?
As far as I'm aware, we'll get an update on, not in the report, well, I don't think we see the reports here because that's their reports.
Right.
But
So
I can take it under advisement, Beth.
Yeah, I would like to see something more than just a report that tells me that everything's okay. Or have I can see.
So we just need to think about the purpose of our role in this committee,
Mm-hmm.
And really it's about the governance of the IJB and its partners. So, but yes, I'll take it under advisement, Beth, and I'll discuss it with colleagues and see if it's.
I don't want a detailed report, but I'd just like to see some indicators. There's nothing there that I can even anyway.
Yeah, I do get where you're coming from, and I think it's a suggestion well worth considering. So thank you very much, Jackie Pepper.
Yes, thanks. I think it's an interesting question, but I think this report is because of the timing, right? Because what we've got is one report has been considered, or there's a single report produced and it's been considered by the council and not yet by NHST side. So suppose there's a question about how often do we bring these reports to this committee and get the sequencing of that right. I think there is an issue of timing there.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a big debate going on everywhere about the governance need to see loads and loads of papers, and I'm not asking to see loads and loads of papers, but I don't always feel comfortable just having a paper that tells me everything's okay. But anyway, that's for a future discussion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Beth. I don't see anybody else, and I haven't heard anybody else saying they want to raise a question or make a point. So in that case, we'll move on to the recommendations of this report. There are 6 of them, so bear with me. All of which are asking us to note a variety of things. We're asked to note the responsibilities of Perth and Kinross Integrated Joint Board in respect of clinical care and professional governance, and those of the IJB's partners. We are asked to note the arrangements in place for providing the IJB with assurance that effective and robust systems of clinical care and professional governance are in place. Note that at NHS Tayside's Care Governance Committee on the 3rd of October 2024, Perth and Kinross Health and Social Care Partnership were invited to raise any emerging risks, and there were none that required escalation. Perth and Kinross Health and Social Care Partnership is due to report to NHS Tayside's Care Governance Committee on the 3rd of December 2024, and the full report has been drafted at the time of writing. Note that Perth and Kinross Health and Social Care Partnership is due to report to Perth and Kinross Council's Scrutiny and Performance Committee on the 20th of November 2024, and their full report has been drafted at the time of writing. We're also asked to note that the Chief Officer confirms the effectiveness of the above systems in place in the IJB's partner organisations. And finally, we're asked to note the assurance provided by NHS Tayside's Care Governance Committee and Perth and Kinross Council Scrutiny and Performance Committee. Are all of those points duly noted?
Sheila, can
Yes.
I ask that?
Yes.
Sorry, who's that? Is that Martin?
It's Martin. We're
can't
asked to know that the report to the Scrutiny and Performance Committee on the November the 20th, which has happened.
Mm-hmm. That's true. At the time of writing of this report, it wouldn't have happened. So it's since happened, since these papers were published.
Should that be reflected in the recommendation?
Well, the papers reflect the status when they were written, but we can take it for the minute. I think that it has since been presented.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you very much. And now we move on to the work plan, item 7.1 for 24-25. It's fairly straightforward. And as far as I'm aware, there aren't any real significant changes. Does anybody have any questions or comments to make on the work plan, or can we agree it or note it? All noted. Thumbs up from Beth. Thank you very much, Beth. And the final item on the agenda today is the Audit and Performance Committee record of attendance for 24-25. All I can say is please check this carefully, and if there's any corrections or amendments, to let us know as soon as possible. Thank you, everyone. I've not been advised of any items for private discussion. And given that we were late starting this meeting, then it just leaves me to say that the date of the next meeting is Monday, the 24th of February, 2025. And I wish to thank all of you for your patience again this morning. It's very much appreciated, and I can only apologise on behalf of the Perth and Kinross Council that we had such a late start. Yes. Somebody's in. Oh, Phil.
Item 10 on the agenda.
Indeed. How could I forget about that, Phil? Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
The item 10 on the agenda is the dates of future meetings for approval. Are we agreed with all of those dates? I don't see any dissent.
No,
so
agreed.
We'll get these all diaried, and I'm sure there'll be invitations coming out for your diaries in due course. Is there any other business or any other comments or issues that anybody wishes to raise before we close the meeting?
Can I just?
Thanks. I need to go for my next meeting. Sorry.
Yes,
thank you.
I'm mindful, Beth, that we have another meeting, and others probably have other commitments as well. So I'm trying to get this done. Thank you, Beth. David.
Yeah. Thank you, convener. I know it's not easy convening a meeting in this format, so thank you for doing it so well.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Illingworth. That's very kind. I know it's a bit strange, but nevertheless, we've managed it, I think, and hopefully everybody who's online, had the opportunity to contribute. So, thank you to everyone for attending, and therefore I will now formally close this meeting.